What's the best insult you've ever heard? I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Maybe not the best, but it's a really good one. For some people, no explanation is necessary. For others, no explanation is possible. You just summarized Trump/MAGA supporters. A few of my favorites. You've only got 2 brain cells, and they are both fighting for 3rd place. You're not the dumbest person in the world, but you'd better hope they don't die. Sharp as a marble, that one. The second insult is easily countered with a please don't die. As long as I outlive you, I should be fine. A colleague of mine was told the following by a waitress when he had tried to hit on her. You have more peen in your personality than you do in your pants. Overheard a conversation at a bar once. Super hot but high maintenance looking girl. Dude tries to hit on her. She says some mean girl crap, and he looks at her and says, maybe if you ate some of that mac you'd be pretty on the inside too. Alos my ever loving crap. That's an amazing comeback lol. For a critic, you have me at a disadvantage. You seem to know a lot about me, and I don't give a frick about you. Sounds like Jimmy Care. Weird laugh ensues. While I was in the Navy I overheard, I'd tell you to go kill yourself, but you would probably frick that up too. Another time a guy wrote, on an evaluation, losing this guy would be like gaining 2 people. In the German Armed Forces there is a saying when someone is relieved without replacement, which could be translated by he left a gap which fully replaced him. Maybe someone can translate that better. Hinterlier seen luck, die in the Lumpfangler setzt. However, second one is great. Take my free award mate. Addition by subtraction. This was sent in by Robert, aged 9. That's a crap drawing, Robert. There are children your age in China who can make shoes. I read this in Ron Burgundy's voice for some reason. Funny, I read it in John Oliver's voice. I hope you go far. The sooner, the better. Sounds like a Groucho Marx line. Hello, I must be going. I don't know if they came up with it, but I believe Animaniacs had the closest you'll have to a brainstorm is a slight drizzle, which I still think is quite good. Dumber than advertised. He has a face like a stuntman's knee. Face like a bag of spanners. Face like a slapped ass. My dad used to say face like a catcher's mitt. A guy bragging to a girl how he has the biggest peen she'd ever see, and he'd rock her world. She calmly responds, is it really big? Yeah. Does it reach your ass? Yeah. Great. Why don't you go and frick yourself and leave me TF alone? Damn, that girl should be charged with arson with that roast. I don't think she paid for another drink that night because we were all impressed with that one. You're so stupid that it may actually be illegal to frick you. I love this and will use it at the first moment I can. Had an alcoholic kitchen worker at my first job that I swear to God could have been a roast writer. I caught him looking at a female employee's ass once for like 5 straight minutes. I was like, Thurman, you okay? He said, man, boss, it's a shame she has such bad acne. Love that ass, but it looks like her face caught fire and someone tried to put it out with a fork. I wanna hear more from alcoholic kitchen worker, or as he is usually called, kitchen worker. Maybe you Aussies and Kiwis remember this, but a while ago the New Zealand Prime Minister Robert Muldoon was asked about immigration from New Zealand to Australia. He responded that he was fine with it because it was raising the average IQ of both countries. Bay ha 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 ha. This is my favorite. Had me rolling. May you have a day as pleasant as you are. Great to use on customers because they can't complain this was an insult without admitting they were freaking rude. Best I've got away with to a client was have a date sir. I said it fast so that if anyone heard, I could claim they missed the good. This is so delightfully neutral. I love it. That's why you use auto-tune and I don't. That was on live TV and it was brutal. Simon nearly spitting out his drink was all of us in that moment. You probably get your insults from us credit. Never thought I'd upvote somebody insulting me. Recently heard this one, and it was clever to me. I've been called worse by better. That was actually the Canadian Prime Minister, who I think was the father of the current one, responding to Richard Nixon calling him an asshole. I have been called worse things by better people. She has a face for radio. A few years back I was going to the theater with friends. We see a big poster for the local radio station's morning crew. Someone breaks out that line referring to the woman in the ensemble. My friend's new girlfriend who we had just met that night replies, "That's my mom." She wasn't kidding. They didn't last. I love how music takes you away to another place. Like Mumford & Sons is playing at this restaurant, so now I'm going to another restaurant. You got it from the Jimmy Kimmel mean tweets, right? I know a mind reader who would charge you half price. Oh man, I'm a dummy. I had to read this 3 times before I got it. Love it, and I'm gonna use it if I can remember it. Your why God doesn't talk to us anymore. This is quite possible the greatest thing I have ever read. USA founding fathers had the best insults. Thomas Jefferson hired James Thompson Callender to write about John Adams during an election. John Adams was a hideous hermaphroditical character which has neither the force and firmness of a man, nor the gentleness and sensibility of a woman. Holy crap, history classes would have been a lot more fun with tidbits like this in them. Person A, singing. Person B, who sings that song? Person A, James Brown. Person B, let's keep it that way, shall we? Person A, singing. Person B, who sings that? Person A, James Brown. Person B, what's wrong with the notes he uses? You look like Lenny from Of Mice and Men, if he was gay. Damn, that got me laughing so hard right now. I needed that, thank you. Glad to help, brother. In middle school a classmate told me I have teeth like a Virginia picket fence. Middle schoolers have the best insults. 13-year-olds are the meanest people in the world. They terrify me to this day. Look at that high-waisted man. He got feminine hips. My 3 favorites are: you're a real conversation starter, just not when you're around. I can't believe out of 100 million sperm, you're the one who won. I bet your parents change the subject when people ask about you. That last one is great. Winston Churchill was wasted on a bus. Lady, sir, you are wasted. Churchill, and you madam are ugly, but in the morning I shall be sober. One of my favorite of his was once when in the bathroom he was told the Privy Seal wanted to see him. His response: tell the Privy Seal that I'm sealed in the Privy and can only deal with one tea at a time. Not an insult, but a good quip. After Churchill had been tossed out of the PM slot, he was still an MP. The PM was left-winger Clement Attlee. Attlee converted approximately 20% of the economy to government ownership, including the Bank of England, civil aviation, coal mining, the railways, road haulage, canals, cable and wireless, electricity and gas, and the steel industry. They were both in the toilet using the urinals. Churchill gets up and moves down a few urinals away from Attlee. Attlee protests and asks Churchill why he felt the need to move. Churchill responded, because every time you see something big you want to nationalize it. My stepfather, best dude ever, was talking about one of my mother's obnoxious, know-it-all friends, and he said, that woman could give an aspirin a headache. Layer caked. I'm jealous of the people that have never met you. That one's awesome. This was in a book, The Wasp Factory, so I didn't actually hear it, but it described a guy as a person of such weapon-grade stupidity his intelligence would probably have improved with the onset of senile dementia, and I had a good laugh at that when I read it. The incomparable Aaron Banks. RIP. He was quite a dark-humored kind of guy, as if you couldn't tell from his books, lol. I remember him saying he'd asked his partner, when he knew he was dying, if she'd do him the honor of becoming his widow. Total madlad. Should you have someone with you? This one wins for me. I love insults that make you think, because half the time the person you insult doesn't even know what you mean. Do you drive to work? Or does somebody drop you off? You're so cross-eyed, when you cry your tears fall down your back. Lol, this is hilarious. I made one up for a guy whose name was literally Billy Bob Tennessee. I told him his mom was so cross-eyed she gave him 2 first names. His friends laughed their asses off, and I got to learn how fast I could run when properly motivated. Gotta be careful. A guy named Billy Bob is liable to have a shotgun close by. I'd call you a CNT, but you have neither the warmth nor depth. nor the ability to give pleasure. Had one Yemeni describe a colleague in broken English: he's a waste of skin. I'm dry of them at the moment, but English second plus language speakers really do come up with some beautiful insults. Edit. Thanks for sharing these, they are awesome. True story, my mom is not a native speaker, and she got into argument with someone who told her frick you. My mom yelled back frick you 10. I was young, but I still remember this as clear as day. You need lemons to make lemonade and you ain't got no lemons. My grandpa used to say this when I wasn't good at something. I laughed every time. Reminds me of the joke, a guy was up on the roof with his father replacing the tiles. The father watched his son hammer in the new tiles and remarked, "Your hammer strike like lightning." They never hit the same spot twice. Friend of mine in high school was arguing with her BF over the phone. He called her a slut, whore, said she was Lucy CTECT. She replied with, "Oh yeah Mike. Well your peen glows in the dark, you should probably go get that checked out." We were 16 and that comeback still gets me every time. Also, from that day forward Mike was now henceforth known as Glow Stick. Do you have to snap it to get it to glow? You're as useless as balls on a toy. Hey now, those are what keep it from getting stuck. Flared Bass has left the chat. You look like you write Taylor Swift lyrics in birthday cards. You're 10-ply, bud. Letterkenny. Screw you Shawsey. Screw you Jonazy. I made your mom come so hard that they made a Canadian Heritage Minute out of it and Don McKellar played my peen. I hope you outlive your children. Ouch. I would call you a tool, but that implies that you're useful for something. Here's a few that I've laughed pretty hard at. You're about as useful as a cock-flavored lollipop. You should have ended up in a tube sock. You got about as much sense as a woodpecker on an aluminum telephone pole. But for some reason this one was always my favorite. I refuse to engage in a battle of wits with an unarmed opponent. That last one requires the person to have the superior 3 brain cells. You're about as bright as a black hole and at least twice as dense. Holy crap. You're so stupid that you would trip over a wireless controller. The irony. The irony. The only way you'll ever get laid is by crawling up a hen's ass and waiting. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries. I like this one, but I have exactly zero comprehension of what it means on any scale. It's a reference to Monty Python and the Holy Grail. You don't deserve to smell my crap. That line led to the most pathetic slap fight I ever saw. You think it takes talent to play Frankenstein? I won't insult your intelligence by suggesting that you really believe what you just said. William F. Buckley. When news of Elon Musk and Grimes splitting up was on Reddit, someone commented, "Who's getting custody of syntax error?" And to this day it's the best I've heard. Is your ass ever jealous of the crap that comes out of your mouth? A guy and girl that recently got together were in an argument with her ex. The ex went to walk away and said, "Whatever, you can have my old leftovers." The new guy told him that it's pretty new after the first 3 inches. I actually felt bad for the fella, lol. When I was in high school my ex's new girlfriend liked to flaunt him around where she knew I'd be walking by. He was the grade below me and a big deal with all the girls in his class before we got together, and they all hated me for this reason, I guess. So she would always have them sit next to the trash can in the cafeteria because everyone had to go there to dump their tray. This is like day 3 of them even being together and day 3 of them sitting there when I hear her say, "Thank God I saved you." From that which as I walk by and without missing a beat I turned and said I was going to throw out this sandwich. Did you want to save that too? They stopped sitting there and he dumped her. A recent one comes to mind. My son had a guy at work say, "Go frick yourself," to which he responded, "Frick me yourself, you coward." Holy frick. Big peen energy. You look like the kind of character that would drop low level loot in a game. That's a critical hit to someone's ego. With a personality like yours, you should be on TV, that way we could turn you off. Frickin' oof, that was brutal. I should use this one sometime. Your mum is so fat Thanos had to snap twice. Yo mama so fat, she outweighs the needs of the many. I love this one. Thank you. Being called a Fraggle because I was too freaking useless to be a Muppet. For shame. Loved the Fraggles. Newlywed woman. Sorry you couldn't come to my wedding. It's no kids. Kid, it's okay, I'll go to your next one. From Modern Family. You're not even interesting enough to make me sick. The Witches of Eastwick. Guy singing and playing the guitar. Passer B, do you take requests? Singer, sure. Passer B, please stop. Reminds of one I used a lot when I was young. When someone is singing along to a song. Me, who sings this? They say name of artist. Me, let's keep it that way. 16-year-old me pleading with my father to take my friends and me to see American Pie, the musical. Dad, so, what's the story? I was part of a group of high school buddies who were attempting to lose their virginity. Dad, I'll just remain at home and watch it. This one wins. He insulted you with a dad joke, you can't beat that. Rip. I can't even begin to explain how much of a disappointment knowing you has turned out to be. Don't bang her dude, you look like a pizza cutter. True conversation between my friend Pat and his wife about him getting a vasectomy. Pat, I don't want a vasectomy. What if I want more kids? Wife, I don't want more kids. Have more kids with your next wife. Pat, like I'm ruining her body on children. I almost died laughing. That's at least a week on the couch. Worth it. Bota lobby wasn't really hitting my shots and this kid goes, if everybody shot like you JFK would be alive. Playing Cody Warzone, my loadout dropped along with another on the road from train station to superstore. I approached it slowly in case the enemy was going forth as when I see a four-wheeler go red indicating someone is using it, and they speed off on the road. I called him out to my team, sprinted to the loadout, got my sniper, scoped in, and one-shot him in the back of the head as he drove off in the distance. He was the only one alive on his team, and had no self-revive, so it was an instant team wipe. You get a couple seconds of death comms when you kill someone, and his is in my top 3. Geez, Kennedy killer. It was perfect. Had to unplug my mic for a bit, because I couldn't stop laughing. A girl, F18, at my school came to school one day and proudly announced to her friends, "My BF told me, sex with me is like sticking a broom into the White House." She clearly didn't catch the insult, but damn, that was hilarious. Given she was 18, that probably says more about his peen than it does her vag. I should have shot you on the wall. A father to his son. I wish you'd rip down on your mother's knees. My father to me, on a weekly basis. It's all for good laughs though, and I always laugh at it. I bet you use your eyelash curler also for the lower lashes. Roughly my sister to me in an argument. That's quite a mental image. The harshest I ever heard given the context was when a teacher pulled a student out of class to tell him, "BTW, I was a part of the class in the open space outside that classroom. Your parents should have gone downstairs and watched some TV the night you were conceived." Me, my mate and some nearby teacher were shocked. My cholesterol is higher than your standards. Ginger Minch. I have neither time nor crayons to explain this to you. This was said by my science teacher. He was teaching biology and we were on the part about sex and this kid would not stop talking. So he said, "Give me 2 seconds." Class brought out a box and a really big plastic container. The guy couldn't care less, he was still talking. So he filled it up with water and threw what I assume was potassium and then whacked it with a meter stick. It was noisy to say the least. When the kid finally looked up, the teacher gave us this absolute gem. Scene. In the average ejaculation there are around 100 million sperm cells. You would think with the billions of cells that have gotten on your mother they might have made something that can actually pay attention in my goddamn class. Jesus. Keep this for edit. You're the type of guy to frick a man in the ass and not even have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around. Full Metal Jacket. You're so ugly you could be a modern art masterpiece. My dad and I use that one on the daily. I also love, "Do you suck peen?" Sir, no sir. Bullcrap. I bet you could suck a golf ball through a garden hose. You climb that obstacle like old people frick. Me, is that song hard to play? Singer in bar, not really. Why? Me, because it's freaking hard to listen to. Tell me, you should know from experience, is ignorance really bliss? You're such a toy. I'd call you a bean, but you're not real enough. Later, a friend tacked on, no, you're even less than a toy, because even a toy can be worth a frick. The bar was set so low it was a tripping hazard in hell, but you somehow managed to play limbo with the devil. A 1-star motel cum stain is a pretty good one emo. Everyone who's ever loved you was wrong. Ouch. My sister was gaming her friends and told one of them, I'm doing charity work just talking to you. I completely lost it and give her major props for saying some stupid crap like that, ha 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 ha. She was 13 BTW. A personal favorite that I heard, go to hell if you can fit in it. If you were as strong as you are stupid, you might be something to fear. Back in school days I once heard a kid call another one a idiot nose. I thought that was pretty progressive, inclusive, and a refreshing new take on otherwise saying pinhead. Adult is trying to tell a kid how to set up a tent and is clearly wrong. Adult, listen to me. I have been doing this longer than you have been alive. Kid, yeah well they believed the sun was the center of the universe for longer than I have been alive and that was wrong too. I know you are what you eat, but do you have to be such an asshole? The one that gets me. I'd rather guide my father into my mother than ever be associated with you. If you ever want to watch a show that is a plethora of insults, watch Veep. No one is immune, but the one character that gets hit the most is a character named Jonah, and trust me, he deserves it. Probably the best one that gets thrown his way is you look like a Bigfoot-sized skeleton made of dead beans. Edit, my apologies, I melded two insults. The insult I was thinking of is, you look like Frankenstein's monster, if Frankenstein's monster was made entirely out of dead beans. The cloud botherer was also very good. So is he looks like a teddy bear that was ripped open and used to smuggle meth. In the thick of it rivaled Veep for insults, mostly coming from Malcolm Tucker, Peter Capaldi. There was even a crossover between the two shows. My dad used to say this anytime I complained, what am I gonna have to do? Soak your socks in kerosene to keep the ants away from your candy ass. What are you going to do with your face when the monkey wants his ass back? Some guy got crazy with me during an evident road rage situation. I was unaware of what was going on. He pulled up next to me and signaled to roll down the window at a traffic light. He leered over his driver's seat to let out a dramatic issuance of me not going fast enough, but in many more words. I could clearly see he had a haircut. It looked terrible, an obvious botch. I'll let him get through his tirade, just said nice haircut, shook my head, and proceeded on as the light turned green. The guy looked like he'd seen a deer and was unable to even respond. My passenger said got him, and I agreed as we continued our way to Chili's. This is the best one so far. Bravo. I lolled. My personal favorite, your face looks like you chased a fart through a rusty bucket of nails. You'd struggle to pour water out of a boot with instructions printed on the heel is a personal favorite. You're as much use as in Frank's drum kit. About someone who kisses up to boss's ass, they're so far up his/her ass all you could see was their feet hanging out.